Three Grots in a Vox is intended for a mature audience. This means there will be crude language and discussions of adult themes, especially if we're talking about Tactical Marines or Gabriel Seth. Viewer discretion is not only advised but encouraged. All opinions are our own and often given for humorous purposes. Any advice is given largely for entertainment purposes and would probably be ignored. But if you do learn something useful, count it as a win.
There we are.
All right, there we are. We're live. Hello. Welcome to a very punctual stream.
Indeed, yeah. Absolutely on time.
It's not because Blood Angels Commander forgot that we started at 9 and thought we started at 9:30.
And was therefore busy amusing himself somewhere else for whatever he was doing.
He was reading an exotic magazine.
What does Blood Angels Commander do when he's not streaming?
I was going to say he puts on green clothes to sit in front of his green screen, apparently.
Exactly.
And I forget how to remove my background in Google.
It's fine. Hey everybody, if you can hear the audio, then please say. Otherwise, we'll just pretend we're talking bollocks all the time. The same thing we always do. Please like and subscribe. It does help us grow the channel and reach more people with all of our crap. So that's all great. And straight off the bat, thank you so much, David Bain.
You're absolute legend. That is that was something that's wake up.
We can show you what your contribution is helping to fund right now with Tony's special rice beer or whatever.
Oh yeah, check this out. Look at this. So Michaela Japanese rice lager.
I kind of want to try that, and I also kind of don't at the same time.
Imported to Sweden by our friends at Brillenco.
Okay.
So who knows? I like rice beer.
This week, I've got hold of some of this off shelf in Tesco's.
Is that the alcohol-free one?
No, 4.5%.
They do go ship as alcohol-free as well.
Okay.
Which is not bad, as you wouldn't believe.
Fair enough.
It's better than that Beck's Blue, which initially tastes okay, but then afterwards gives you a stonking headache.
I'm
not the worst stuff to taste better.
I'm not a connoisseur, so it's just the pale ale as far as I'm concerned. We'll see how it goes.
I feel very disconcerted by the fact that I see myself on your T-shirt, Tony.
Yeah,
you love this. Do you know what? I've only actually had, this is genuinely true, about half an hour from stopping work. I say stopping work. I've still got my laptop over it, and coming online, and I still managed to make time not only to run in, hug my child, but to put on a picture of your face.
Brilliant.
I've not eaten or anything else like that, but I have got a picture of your face.
Yeah, I was going to say, alcohol is a good substitute for food, I find. I feel like that was in a movie as well. Somebody said that in the movie. Good evening, everyone in chat. Hello, how are you?
You a beer on stream or anything like that? How come you never go for it?
Well, for me, because it's school. Yeah. I call it a school night.
It is a school night.
I've
literally got to go to school tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's true, isn't it?
I don't know. More of a weekend.
You can't call him Double and Grot anymore, DTM. He's not happy about that.
It just weirds me out. That is really tasty.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say. It's just, if you've ever had, rice beer tastes a little bit different to other beers and stuff anyway. It's a bit like, and this is a really niche reference, if you've ever had the premium Qingdao beer at like a Chinese restaurant, it's very similar in flavour to that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really quite fragrant. And it's the sort of thing that, although it's not that strong, I don't think.
Might have to get hold of it one day.
5%. It will get you so drunk so quickly.
We should probably open.
Now we've waffled on for a bit to give people time to log on and hear us talk bollocks for a good 5 or 10 minutes.
No, we can do that for 5 or 10 minutes more, but yeah, we should at least tell them what we're going to talk about.
5 or 10 minutes more. We're going to do that for the next hour or so. That's what we.
Very true, actually. So
imply that the rest of the time we're not talking bollocks. There's a disclaimer, and it clearly says that everything
we
we
say
is
like Primaris Gabriel Seth. Do you reckon they'll actually do that?
I hope they do, because it will really upset people.
It'd be really funny, yeah.
What can Gabriel Seth even attach to now with the new rules? That was my question. Nothing.
No, he's got the Tacticus rule. Oh, no, he hasn't got a new role, Tacticus role, has he?
I imagine they'll update it. So
can't attach to anything now.
Could he never attach a tactical? I've got no idea.
I'll tell you what you can attach to.
Okay. All right.
He can't attach to Vanguard veterans anymore. He can't attach to a command squad anymore, and he can't attach to assault squad anymore, unless they didn't rename the command squad. Is the command squad called just command squad in the new Codex?
It's called Company Heroes or something.
Yeah, something like that.
So all he can attach to is a tactical squad.
Yeah, I'm expecting we'll get that rewritten to take all this stuff into account with the new units and disappearing units and stuff. Or you could play, with legends and narrative play and stuff. So.
I've never played anyone that wants to play legends and narrative play.
Yeah, not even just to bring out all your Leviathan and all your old stuff and your Falchion and other.
No,
stuff.
I'm 40 now. I'm just going to be bitter that I can't play it, and I'll complain about it whenever you bring it up.
I'm not going to lie. I bought loads of stuff from Forge World that got legends. Everyone was flogging off.
Oh, people were selling it, were they?
People were flogging them all off. So I was like, I've got a brass scorpion because I've always fancied one of them.
Sure.
I don't collect world eaters, but I wanted a brass scorpion. Well, I've got what else have I got? There's little saber tanks, a few Horus Heresy bits and pieces.
Saber tanks.
A couple more dreadnoughts. They're so tiny. They're so cute.
They're like the size of 2 Terminators, give or take.
Yeah. So people were just offloading all of their stuff that went legends.
I mean, it's fair.
And I like the models anyway, so.
Yeah, that's cool.
I have a super heavy tank that I never finished painting. And I figure now I just never will. So
is that the Typhon?
The Cerberus, wasn't it?
It was the Cerberus, yeah. The one with
the triple barrel laser jobby thing.
Yeah.
But even when that was in the game, I always thought the Cerberus was just a shit Vindicator laser destroyer.
Yeah. I think I bought it because it was like toughness 10 with 20 wounds, and that's always difficult to deal with,
like
right?
2.5 times the cost of a Vindicator laser destroyer, but only does ever so slightly more damage and has only ever so slightly better survivability.
Yeah, I suppose you're probably right.
Well, now we've got a few more people here. The reason we're live this evening is new Codex Space Marines went live for pre-orders on Saturday just gone. And with that, the embargo dropped for all the people who got given free copies of it to review in advance, which does not include us.
Of course it doesn't. For some reason, we're just... Yeah, they don't like us.
Yeah, clearly. Somebody there, they decided that I don't know, we're too unwholesome or something. Who knows?
But do you know what? It benefited me today because today I got the leaks of the points costs and I just dropped them on my community page because I was like, well, I don't have any NDA, so I can just share whatever the hell I want. So
it didn't stop Naomi from Sword and Steel, who one assumes does get given free copies of stuff, just drop the points anyway. So whether she thought she had a loophole or she made a mistake, either way, thanks for the points because awesome.
Yeah. Fair enough.
We're gonna go through as much of the Codex Space Marine stuff has been spoiled as we feel like doing, and giving our thoughts and taking questions as we go. Speaking of which, we do have one Patreon question that got submitted in advance from our lovely long-time Patreon supporter Foz, and his question is: why a cape on a jump captain? And I think
we got no capes that you can put up there.
No. I think the only answer has to be that that GW clearly haven't watched The Incredibles.
Yeah, I can't help but think it's because he hasn't actually used the jump pack yet.
Because he's new.
Like in Space Marine, I don't know about the new one, but the old one used to do a bit of killy stuff, and then you get to a bit and he'd put a jump pack on.
Oh yeah,
that's how I imagine he's done it. He's just strapped it on, and he's still not burnt all his stuff off. Because I've always wondered about the purity seals and why they don't all get burnt off, but.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, they've got to keep reapplying them, haven't they? Got to have jobs.
Yeah. You land into combat. Hang on, stop, wait. Purity seals.
Yeah, slap them on. Got to make me some oaths of moment while I'm there.
That's
the first change, isn't it, of the new Codex? Absolutely. Oath of moment's been nerfed.
Yeah, so I think that's probably why the points has gone down.
Yeah.
You don't think so? I think it's kind of to make up for the Oath of Moment drop.
I think it'll be part of it, to be sure. Rerolling all hits and all wounds was insanely powerful for just nuking that one thing or two things if you have Gilliman.
Yeah, it was good. Still really good for Ultramarines. Still pretty good for everybody else. Do you know what? It really hurts Like it really hurts the Sons of Sanguinius detachment, and they didn't get any point drops in what we were assuming is the full list. I guess this is the full list, yeah.
I don't know. Did the little list only go through Codex Space Marines and not look at any other stuff?
Pretty much, yeah.
Who knows? Maybe there are some other changes for the Space Marines things. We're not sure until Workshop go around and release the actual document themselves.
True, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose that's true.
We have no idea what they're going to do.
I was trying to wonder when they were going to do a Meta Watch article, because I guess they're going to need these codexes to give a little bit of time to breathe, I guess.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting, I guess.
Sure. I'm kind of okay with the at the moment change, to be honest. It was insanely powerful as it was before, and now it's only quite powerful. We've got a whole bunch of other options as well.
My only comment on it is I do agree. I think it's a perfectly reasonable change if they're going to buff some other areas, but I do wish that in that first company detachment, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, so their bonus is they get to once per game get it back.
Yeah,
I really think that should be more than once per game, maybe once per unit, or even because it only you can say it only works on first company units maybe and have it for the whole game, just because that detachment is so much weaker than all the others, because all the others get a buff for the whole game
to make them
advance and charge and things like that.
Yeah.
Having the first company with just a once per game ability, when you also can't really, you're not incentivized to take anything that would make huge, benefit from it, because things like Terminators and that are generally fairly low strength and things. I don't know. It just feels a bit mean.
I think you're right. Matthew in the chat says first company detachment is awful, and then they said that we're not sure if the Blood Angels points will be changing or other factions will be changing. And also Marius says in 40,000 years in the future, why don't people get that they have heat-proof clothing?
What the hell? That was me being very careful because I've been told I can't say fuck anymore.
No. That
would be
was on
the
the other
point.
channel where we were trying to be more less. How do I want to phrase this? Less potty mouth to appeal to people who would like Star Wars for a broader audience.
Right.
This one you can swear as much as you
I'll
want.
use the proper word then.
Okay.
Why the fuck would you have a heat-proof cape? Do you know what I really need? A flame retardant cape. We've got all the technology in the world. What I'm going to use it for is like a Batman
Shit.
in a heated environment.
Can't invent shit. What makes you think they can invent a heat-proof cape without rediscovering an old STL that from the age of Iron that they've forgotten how to make in thousands and thousands of years?
This great crusade for the Mechanicus, and what they find is one of those fire blankets. In the red box you get for kitchens.
Can we
the shiny blanket you've got on ship, man?
Make that T-shirt available as a purchasable item? Because
What t-shirt is that? What, John's?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can sell it. I want a kickback from it though.
You'll get the kickback, don't worry.
I hate that T-shirt. I was trying to make funny faces.
And then we could when we actually managed to arrange a decent number of people to turn up at Warhammer World together, we could all be wearing that T-shirt. Have a big photo taken in front of the Space Marine, all just going, yeah, that'd be great.
That would be even better if there was a big banner, like it's a proper picket that just says "Give Blood Angels Commander an early Codex." God damn it!
Oh well.
Yeah.
So we got 6 or 7 more detachments. Is it? 6
we did.
More? We got 6 more, and we already had 1. Gladius is basically completely unchanged, except for the fact that Bol's discipline has been renamed Fire Discipline for no really apparent reason.
It went up 5 points as well for very minor reasons, I guess.
What, the reasons that it's really powerful?
Yeah, reasonably powerful. But I mean, arguably, it's still not as powerful as some of the stuff we've had before, right? Like I said, we used to have smash captains that could kill an Astreus in one turn. We don't have that anymore. We just have exploding 5s and 6s. I don't know if it necessarily is super powerful, or it is good. But I think people are overestimating how strong it is.
I still like Gladius because it's good in general. It's flexible.
It's a solid kind of all-rounder, isn't it? If you just want to build a nice, solid Space Marine-y
It doesn't give you things that you may not need throughout the whole battle. It gives you a variety of things that you can trigger when you need them that will work against different enemies at different times, and I quite like that flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gladius detachment is a great detachment. I'm going to continue probably running it as my main detachment. Yeah, I think you could probably win some tournaments with Gladius. I just need to try and do it, I guess.
Are you still running the parking lot, or have you developed your list recently?
Yeah, I know I've developed the list to include... I think Librarian Dreadnought is like a huge standout character for me. I've run him the last 3 weeks in a row. If you can keep him alive till the end of the game, he's worth his weight in gold. He's so good.
What are you throwing with him?
Heavy Intercessors, Gravis, Aggressors. I mean, I've been throwing Centurions. Just throwing anything and everything. And like I said, at the end of the game, when there's not much left on the board, then anytime you pick a secondary that normally you're like, oh shit, there's no way I can capture their deployment zone in turn 5, or there's no way I can put a unit into the middle of the board in turn 5. With the Librarian Dreadnought, it's like, yeah, you can do that, no problem.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, actually. I think he's been a standout for me in terms of just scoring. And your opponent has to screen the entire game because you never know what's going to pop up where from the Librarian Dreadnought. You can do all sorts of shenanigans with him. I have been...
I've seen a few people in Discord say that a couple of must-have units in their armies that they've been running is 2 units of infiltrators, 1 with a faux boss librarian to make them untargetable outside of 12 inches. And you get the...
Cheers, Res.
Oh, yeah, you have 1 unit of infiltrators just clumped up hidden somewhere, and then you string the other 5 with the librarian out wherever you want to screen out a whole area, because it can't be shot at, and you can't deep strike him within the area of them.
Yeah, well, people have been saying the same about the henchmen. The inquisitorial henchmen for 40 points are...
Yeah.
You have to pay some extra points and you have to take an inquisitor, but they can be very good very, very quickly.
I can't help but feel with some of these kind of like very quite complex and niche kind of strategies and stuff that it's a lot of bloody faff for not a lot of gain. Because they're not going to do anything there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
They're just going to sort of sit there. I might score a point if they've got an objective nearby.
They'd be purely for screening and very little else, and keeping something from dropping in and getting your home objective.
Yeah, I think that's quite a lot of work for not a huge amount of gain. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm missing something, and everyone's games go like that. But some of these like multi-stage setups and things like that, people really love them. And yeah, you can make some incredible super powered combos sometimes, but it just doesn't come up that often.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just
do you want to put the points away for the games where it'll be massively powerful? For example, it'd be really good against things like G-Stealers or Grey Knights or anything that's got huge amounts of reserves mobility, or just not spend the points and try and deal with those things when they crop up.
Is it going to be that much more effective than I just brought a squad of infiltrators and I used them like infiltrators?
Don't know.
But my infiltrators, if they're over here, can become unshootable. All right, I wasn't going to shoot them anyway. Because it's 5 dudes bolt guns.
That's true, I suppose. Yeah. Infiltrators are strong. I am not running them personally because I think there's other things you can use, and like you said, Tony, other things can do multiple things. For example, right? Like I was taking heavy intercessors, and heavy intercessors get that +1 to their armor save if they're on an objective. If you put them in cover, they can ignore 1 on the armor save, and then you can Armor of Contempt them for ignore another 1. So potentially what I'm doing is like Librarian Dreadnought instantly... Usually in turn 1 there's going to be an objective with nothing on it. So I'm just going to teleport my Heavy Intercessor straight onto that objective. I'm going to put 4 people in cover and the 1 guy on the objective. That's my objective now. If the enemy try to take it away from me, I can use squad tactics to move more Heavy Intercessors onto it. And if they don't do that and they shoot the Heavy Intercessors, then I can ignore up to 3 AP. Those are toughness 6 3 wound models. They also have much better bolt guns than the infiltrators, like you just mentioned. So for me, I'm like, people are saying, "Oh, you can't run to tournaments without infiltrators," and I was like, "Well, my heavy, I played against Be'lakor and he deep strikes 6 inches away from me, and I was like, it's fine."
This is not a live stream, James. We're not responding live to things that are being said in chat, so yeah, don't worry about that.
So I think you're right. I mean, it's at some point you have to decide if, like, I actually don't know the points cost of a librarian, Phobos librarian off the top of my head. He's like, what, 55 points plus infiltrators, which are 100 points. So you have to decide if 155 points for unshootable infiltrators is better than like 105 points for heavy
it's not like
intercessors.
they're unshootable. It's they're unshootable over a certain distance away, and
and you can't drop in closer with those 12 inches as well. So
because that's what I was going to do. I've got this like deep strike death bomb thing, and what I'm going to use it for is to kill a squad of 5 infiltrators. I don't care about them unless there's like some incredible thing that you're protecting. But what have we got that's worth protecting that much? Yeah, to quote one of the people in the chat here, Antonius here wrote the boring list that win the points game, and I can't help but think sometimes we're overcomplicating it and bring stuff that scores points or kills stuff to help you score points. Might be the better approach on that one.
It's hard to say. He's right. Infiltrators are I would say they're a
very strong unit.
They're a very safe pick, right? If you just don't want anyone to shenanigans up your behind, then they're a very, very safe pick. But it's your 200 or 300 points, whatever you spend on them, just for safety.
Ultimately, you need something backfield to sit on objectives. If you choose to do that, is pick your poison, essentially.
Is making your infiltrators difficult to shoot from far away worth 50 points? Not sure that it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to, then that new lieutenant from the Leviathan box.
Yeah, I like him.
He's now 55 points. He's better because his data sheet's been changed. And you still can't shoot him outside 12, but he doesn't have the 12-inch denial as well. So that's obviously, you can just drop in outside of 9 and then shoot him because you're in range.
Yeah, absolutely, Benno. Infiltrators do keep your Libby Dread safe. I'm not saying don't bring infiltrators. I'm saying maybe don't bring infiltrators and a Phobos librarian to protect them.
Ooh, speaking of which, do you know how that lieutenant is better now?
Yeah, he affects the whole field.
Yeah, so instead of having to be next to the unit that he's giving +1 to wound for, or reroll 1s to wound, or whatever it was, it'll affect just anything on the field everywhere. So for me, that lieutenant is now a must pick for 55 points.
I haven't seen this data sheet.
Same as the old one, except that now he affects the whole field. He's pretty solid, actually. Didn't you buy 2 of them, Mark?
I got one in the box, and I bought another 2.
Which must say something.
Yeah.
I've got one. It's not playing yet.
From an optimal point of view, you only want to bring one because you only get one instance of the ability no matter how many of them you bring in your army. But 55 points lone ops just hanging around, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Flat reroll wounds of 1 army-wide against anything on an objective that you pick before the game starts, and he's lone operative. And when you get near him, he can run away.
Oh, you still have to pick the objective they're on.
Yes.
Yeah, but
you pick an objective, and then the rest of your army gets bonuses to shoot things that are on that objective, or attack things that are on that objective.
So you stick it on the home objective.
Or the middle one.
Or the middle one. If you stick it on your home one, though, if you've taken the middle one, it's still useful. Whereas if you stick on the middle one, you take it, it stops being useful.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say that's an auto include, is it?
55 points, I would, for reroll 1s to wound.
Okay.
I think it's solid. And it's a cool model as well. I haven't painted one yet. I've so far got to the stage where I've readied him and now blacked out the detail.
Cool. I have to think about how to customize my other 2 and make him look slightly different from the first one.
I was going to say, I'm more interested in the Thunderstrike now. It literally went up 10 points a month ago and has come back down 10 points today, I guess. Right?
The points hike was pretty irrelevant to it anyway. Was that one where they changed? What was the buff from the Thunderstrike?
If you hit a vehicle or a monster, everything else that shoots it gets +1 to wound. That will be huge with the moment removal, and I was considering maybe dropping something to put a Thunderstrike into my list.
Because they know one to use an AP buff that used to affect everything, but now only affects vehicles and monsters, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, so basically, like, if you assume that most of the time your Vindicators or your Gladiators or your Repulsors, Executioners, your Land Raiders are going to target other people's vehicles. Typically, you're going to wound on 3s, right? Because you're going to be like strength 12 or 13 on your las cannons and like 14 your heavy destroyers. You're going to be shooting armor, which is like toughness 11 or 12. So it's going to be 3s probably. So the Thunderstrike just giving you +1 to wound on like 8 shots from a Vindicator or something, there's going to be a lot of extra wound rolls, right?
It's always been good to be fair.
It's a lot of points.
It is a lot of points, but I mean, it's.
Do you know how else you can get +1 to wound? By taking the Anvil Siege Force, which is definitely not Imperial Fists, and by not moving and already being heavy.
I don't think that's that strong. I think it's incredibly strong if you're playing on Planet Bowling Ball.
Yep.
But
it's really good if you'd be able to shoot things. I completely agree.
And I just think that with the increased amount of terrain that the tournaments, that the book says you should be running, I think the chance for you standing still is probably not that common.
It's hard to stand still, I'd say.
If you're standing still, you're going to struggle to score points.
I was going to say, even with tanks, man, that have heavy, because I've been playing a lot of tanks, and a lot of the tanks have weapons that are heavy. Quite often, I'm not getting the benefits. Do what? Sorry.
A lot of tanks also don't have heavy.
Yeah, the heavy lasers on like the Gladiator has, and very often you don't have the luxury of keeping your Gladiator still. I find. I think it's going to be the same with if you run a Repulsor Executioner. I don't own an Executioner, but I feel like
well, the way of making use of the Anvil Siege Force's bonus when you get +1 to wound if you're heavy and you don't move and all this sort of stuff does work for indirect fire, of course. So if you want to bring like a bunch of Whirlwinds and some Desolators, then you'll get some bonuses out of it and you'll be able to shoot whatever, and that's fine.
The Whirlwind meta, I guess.
Is that going to be enough to win you the game, though?
Yeah, it does, Matthew. That's exactly how it works. So basically, everything gets heavy.
And if it already had heavy, then it gets +1 to wound if they don't move.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's good. But I think it's only really good if you play on a table that doesn't have a lot of terrain.
Yeah. And ultimately, mobility wins you the game by being able to react to things to go where the cards say you need to go to get on this objective where you didn't have reinforcement before and all this sort of thing. So, disincentivizing you from moving when moving objectively makes you points and wins the game. I'm not too sold with it for competitive play, to be fair.
No, and I'm saying
I don't think that either, because the Stormlands detachment has basically that same rule, but for assault, where it's like everything in your army gets assault. And if they were previously assault, you get sustained. No. I'm purposely talking about the Stormlance one now.
The Stormlance is advance and charge. The Firestorm gets assault.
Oh, maybe the Stormlance has a stratagem that lets you do that then. But regardless, what I was going to say is I don't think it feels strong at all. Like it feels quirky, like giving weapons a keyword that they don't have. It doesn't feel impactful enough, I guess.
The assault one's inherently better because it means you get more movement and still be able to shoot, and you get more movement and still be eligible to shoot, which enables you to do actions which will help you do the requirements for the various objective cards that might crop up.
I mean, it does, but I still don't think it feels all that powerful. Let me... it was called Blazing Fusillade, and it's for the Stormlance detachment. And it was a stratagem that says, like, during your shoot phase, give models ranged weapons the assault ability, and if they already have assault, they get sustained hits 1. So I guess that means that you would be able to, like, move, advance, shoot whatever weapons they're holding, regardless if they're, because all their weapons get assault, and then charge. But you always have that problem that if you're shooting your charge target, your opponent's going to be like, well, lift away the closest models and make your charge harder. So it is actually quite risky to shoot your own charge target. Yeah, sure, you could shoot something else, but like in the case of Blood Angels, let's say you had like a squad of Death Company. You want to give all assault to all those Infernal Pistols. It's pretty risky to shoot 10 Infernal Pistols at a squad because they'll be like, do. Oh, now your charge distance is 6 inch further, So it's like...
I think it's more for, though, if you've got heavy weapon squads that aren't going to be doing any charging. Does it work on vehicles as well?
Well, it was anything. It was just give range weapons to that unit.
Advance things with lots of guns that don't need to charge, get them out of, say they're behind a building, you need to get all the way around it, and you still want to be able to fire. It's letting things that get the extra movement and still shoot that couldn't before. So I think it's got its
So, for example, you put it on a Brutalis Dreadnought. The Dreadnought runs forward, it advances, it shoots all of its guns, and then it charges.
Yeah, and I think it's more impactful in the Stormlance detachment, but I still don't know if I feel like it's all that good.
My
It's
problem
better.
with the detachment is slightly different. It's really good at making you fast and mobile and getting you into combat, which is great. The problem is, in general, melee combat is a bit shit, really.
Yeah.
Well, the Marines don't have high enough strength to be scary in melee.
And melee in general has really low AP.
Yeah, that would be another thing. Yeah, Power Fists losing a point of AP and Chain Fists losing 2 points of AP is actually pretty big, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if we realised how big that change was when it first came out, but it's actually pretty huge.
I don't think it really has that much of an effect against infantry, but it has a serious effect when it comes to vehicles, because you're finding it much harder to wound them in the first place, and now if you do wound them, you can't get through the armour. Against infantry, anything that's got particularly high armour save has often got an invuln save anyway, so you're still putting it on the same invuln that you were before. But it's when you start looking at the tanks that it really does have an effect. Things like Lemon Russes now.
Yeah.
They're an absolute bastard to wound them, and even when you do, they're still getting like a 3 up or a 4 up save.
The first attachment though that really had me go, ooh, I want to give that a go, is the Iron Hands one, or the Ironstorm one, the one that buffs vehicles. And it also buffs your entire army really effectively, with every unit being able to re-roll a single roll to hit or wound or damage roll every turn.
It's not. I was going to say that's every phase. So that's both the shooting and the combat phase, not every turn.
Which is really good. Obviously, pairs out really well with single model vehicles or small MSU builds and whatnot.
Yeah, anything that's got like a few like las cannons on it gets tons of value from that.
And then what I was thinking is, if I take my Sanguinius Dreadnought based list and put it into this instead, then that could be quite interesting.
Yeah, that would actually be very interesting.
I really like it because I do have quite a lot of dreadnoughts and things. The only real problem is that a lot of my dreadnoughts are now legends.
Aww.
Join the club.
We're not salty about legends at all here on this channel in the slightest.
No. So me and my collecting and trying to get one of everything, or a couple of everything, hasn't been hit by that at all.
What do you guys think about the Firestorm one? The one that the internet in general seems to have cottoned on to being the most powerful TM of all of them, which is not Salamander's one.
There's some cool, funky combos. I quite like the extra strength when you get up close. I don't know how impactful the extra strength is when you get up close without really testing it. I know it's going to knock a few guns over the certain threshold for wounding and things like that, maybe. But
I think the +1 strength is on ranged weaponry is hell of a lot stronger than +1 strength on melee weaponry, and I think that's because, in my opinion, a lot of ranged weaponry a lot of good ranged weaponry can be strength 9. Like the plasma cannons on the Redemptor Dreadnoughts would go to strength 10. Your Meltaguns on Eradicators or Devastators would go to strength 10. The crack missiles on the Desolation Marines would go to strength 11. Like +1 will actually, like, if you think about armor being the problem that people are having to deal with, +1 on a chainsword does very little against changing armor, or even +1 on a power fist does very little. Whereas +1 on strength 9 or 10 already, I think actually does quite a bit. And then even if you talk about strength 12 on las cannons suddenly become strength 13, so they suddenly wound toughness 12 on 3s. So it feels like there's a lot of breakpoints where that +1 will be impactful.
It gets better too, because they've got that stratagem called Crucible of Battle, which is a battle attack stratagem, so it can be gained for free if you have a captain with them, for example. Because one of your units +1 to wound against the closest eligible target that is within 6 inches in either the shooting or the fight phase. So that'll benefit you in shooting or melee. You get the +1 to strength if you're shooting, and the +1 to wound on top of that. That's starting to get pretty lethal.
Rapid Ingress Eradicators would be very, very tasty with that. Assuming that you could
don't appreciate why you like that so much, because rapid ingressing foot walking guys from the edge of a board somewhere just doesn't really like, okay, you can shoot things that they're in range of from the edge of the board.
You'd be surprised at how effective that is. I don't know if you give it enough credit.
That's perfectly fair.
Yeah.
With a lot more, you play games like basically every week or every couple of weeks. In most cases, you play a lot more games than I do. So
I was going to say, if you rapid ingress eradicators 6 so they come in within 6, right?
Mhm.
Then in your turn they'll move 5. So if you talk about the board's only like 44 inches wide, so you're telling me if you bring them in 11 inches in, so a quarter of the way in, because you would rapid ingress 6 and then move 5. You don't think that's far enough to get a bunch of targets? I think it is. I suppose it depends on. You probably have to spend a turn making space for them, right? But like most of the time, if you're playing 40k and you know in reserve, hey, I've got that unit of, if you have Devastators in a drop pod, for example, or rapid ingress or whatever it is, you have to make space for them. You're never going to get to bring them in turn 2 unless your opponent is bad at playing the game or has forgotten that you have reserves, right?
Mhm.
So you kind of, if you bring them in turn 2 somewhere decent, I'd say that's a bonus most of the time. Like I've been running that 5-man death company with a chaplain, and I've been remembering to use rapid ingress reasonably well. And I want to say that 90% of my games they arrive in turn 3. Very, very rarely do they ever arrive in turn 2. There's just not space on the board in turn 2. Just my opinion, I guess.
That's fair. I mean, your battle tactics in general tend to be, or at least they were in 9th edition when Blood Angel's bonuses only kicked in the late game. You'd like to sort of like cruise through the first couple of turns and then start punching a lot later on.
Yeah, that was last week's game against the Votan was very much that. Andrew was like 32 points ahead in turn 5 and he lost the game.
In turn 5?
Yes.
Wow.
I think I had 19 points going into turn 5. It was like 52 to 19.
I'm surprised you can make that much difference up in one turn.
Well, I basically held every single primary, and it was one of the uncapped primary games at that point. So I think I scored like 18 on primary, and then I took his home objective for another 8 or something. It was close. It was super close. But yeah.
In principle, I like the Firestorm detachment because ultimately the game is all about moving forwards, getting onto objectives and killing opponents that are on objectives. So it incentivizes you for getting up close and shooting things that you kind of want to be doing anyway to hold objectives, win games, be able to do actions as it is. So inherently, that's kind of more powerful, and I appreciate that.
They changed the Thunderstrike buff, says Mass Rofet. Did they? What did they change it to? I missed that one.
Did they? They changed one of them. I wasn't sure if that was one of them.
One of them, they took away the bonus to AP from vehicles and monsters, didn't they?
I think that's the
only works for infantry.
I thought that was the hail.
Yeah, it was a hail strike.
I can't remember that. They've all got stupid names, and I can never remember which one's which.
The one bit that I'm reading says they changed the hail strike and they didn't change the thunder strike. So
okay,
maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't think so.
There was a little minor nerf to Terminators as well, wasn't there?
Was there?
Yeah, I'm sure there was a.
Oh yeah, the +1 to hit on the Oath of Moment ability thing.
Yeah, they've lost their.
To ignore modifiers to hit and wound rolls has now gone.
Yeah, which is upsetting actually, because that was quite. Sort of, I think that's quite a big hit to them because they were relatively good, but they certainly weren't amazing because they're very expensive.
No one was using Terminators. Why did they get rid of that?
I don't know. They needed nerfing apparently.
Yeah, it would seem.
Nerf, please, OP.
Yeah. So to compensate for that, aggressors got their weapon skill bumped from 4 up to 3 up.
I mean, I like that change. I guess aggressors went up 10 points though, but I think it was a bit silly that they hit on 4s.
Well,
the thing about aggressors
every
is
other power fist in the army was hitting on 3s, so I completely agree.
Yeah. Every power fist was hitting on 3s. You're right. So the aggressors were a weird one. So I think that's more of a fix than an actual nerf or anything. That's just like common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Did Terminator points cost go down to compensate?
They did go down. 5 points.
Not much.
5.
Not really, then. Oh well.
There are some weird points changes, like the whirlwind going down 5 points. For me, I still don't really see it as an exciting option. The Storm Raven went down like 15 points, but like to me, it just feels like the Land Raider is infinitely better because it has better shooting, has better armor, has better toughness, has better save. I think
the Land Raider still 240.
The Land Raider didn't change, yes.
The detachment that I think I'm most interested to play, and I can see lots of like fun in giving it a go and tricks and messing around with, has got to be the Vanguard, the not Raven Guard one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Why's that?
It's got a lot of tricks.
The idea of everything that you want to sit back and shoot, being able to be at -1 to hit and also having cover for standing out in the open is useful. That's great. Because they're very little in Space Marine Army can move and shoot. So if you want to have fire support, then you getting a little bit of protection for your fire support is pretty cool. I quite like that.
Well, everything's got some smoke, I guess, right? Because it's the same. Smoke is -1 to hit and +1
True, but that will cost you CP.
Yeah, so it's like your whole army's in smoke. They used to have a rule like that. I think it was in like 8th edition, right? At the start of the game, you could pay 2 CP to put your whole army into stealth.
Rings a vague bell. The thing that I like in terms of stratagems for these guys is they've got guerrilla tactics, which lets you take a unit and put them into strategic reserves if they are outside of 3 inches of the enemy at the end of the enemy fight phase, which is all well and good. But it gets better when you think that if something is in strategic reserves and it has the ability to deep strike, then you don't have to come in on the end of the board. You can deep strike it instead if you want.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just take your Inceptors, pop them down, shoot something, guerrilla tactics them off, do it again, guerrilla tactics them off, do it again, guerrilla tactics them off, do it again. And you've got this hyper-mobile, incredibly annoying unit to mess around or be wherever it needs to be every turn of the game.
I do think that's quite powerful.
I think that would be cool with 6 bolter Inceptors for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I like the bolter Inceptors. I think the stained hits 2 on them is pretty good.
I agree with that.
If you use them on your Oath of Moment target, there's a shitload of damage that can come out of that.
They've also got an enhancement you can give to a character, which allows you to do what we used to do with Death Company and just deploy them really far forward, right in the middle of the board before the game begins.
Yeah.
Or a blob of aggressors or a blob of terminators or whatever you want to put in there, to be honest. But
yeah,
having a unit of 10 Death Company led by a chaplain with this enhancement, and the Death Company have all got Thunderhammers or whatever, deploying them, infiltrating right in the centre of the board, do you reckon that'll make a difference to your opponent's deployment or battle plan?
I mean, I think it certainly would. I just can't decide if... Yeah, does the Vanguard detachment have a way to get +1 to wound and melee? Because if they don't, then it falls over a little bit. Oh, I guess they could get +1 to wound if the chaplain's attached. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
the
on board
chaplain
with
gives
that.
it to them anyway.
Yeah, you're very, very true. Do you know what? One thing I noticed was in the Stormlance detachment, they have one stratagem where they can give lance to a bike unit, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only character that attaches to a bike unit now is the chaplain on a bike who already gives +1 to wound.
Yeah, and he's...
So I was like, why would you pay stratagem to get lance when you already, the only character that can attach already gives +1 to wound? I was like, are you joking me?
Fair point. The answer to the question is, of course, Dark Angels and Space Wolves, but as a general, yeah, I agree.
For anyone that's not got Thunderwolf Cavalry or Raven Wing, then I guess the Stormlance detachment is rubbish. And I actually saw someone saying that someone was on like Reddit saying that as a White Scars player, they were super disappointed with the detachment because there isn't that much mounted they can run now. It's like Outriders. That's it. And the stratagems are for mounted stuff, and it's like, but there isn't really any mounted for like what have White Scars got? Outriders, right?
Mounted Outriders and the ATV that goes with it. That's bad.
But ATVs can't even squad up, right? Like they can attach to Outrider. They can't have a squad of like 3 ATVs. It's not a thing.
Correct.
So you have, I don't know. I'm baffled. I don't know how White Scars are supposed to play, because the White Scars used to use things like Vanguard Veterans and stuff, because they used to be able to advance and charge with Vanguard Veterans. Well, Vanguard Veterans lost all their weapon options, and Vanguard Veterans, all the stratagems that they got, they can't use them on Vanguard Veterans. So it's like, if you're a White Scars player who had 30 Vanguard Veterans, I think you're feeling pretty bad right now.
Well, it's even worse for poor old White Scars players. They only had one unique model, other than their special character, and that's been legendsed. They're one unique unit.
So White Scars are dead chapter now?
Not dead, but certainly muted.
Feeling a little salty.
Which is funny, because just a couple editions ago they made a big deal about giving them their own codex and making them really good, and
White Scars as a chapter are really cool. If I could be bothered to paint all that white, I would definitely do a White Scars army.
Yeah,
it feels a lot like that they're kind of waiting to get bulked out with more models that GW haven't sort of shown off yet, or done anything with. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. White Scars need like a refresh like the Black Templars got, but I think it's not going to be long before all the Space Marine chapters need that refresh the rate this Primaris changes are going. And that's a tough pill to swallow, I feel. I could be wrong here, but I already just lost like half my units to Legends. Half my painted units to Legends. So if they give us like another big box and we lose another half of stuff... Man.
I see what you're saying, but I also am fully intending to use my existing assault squad with jump pack as assault intercessors with jump packs, because the base size is the same and I'm not buying a bunch more models at ridiculous prices.
Yeah, I'm doing that as well. I think they need to sell jump packs like they do currently.
Yeah, I agree. Although the data sheet for them looks good, because they're basically just what an assault squad used to be. A little bit cheaper and with a little bit... Losing the options that they lost smarts a little, but they're a cheap jump option that does mortal wounds on the charge, albeit a little bit less mortal wounds on the charge than it used to, but still pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really not loving the losing weapon options nonsense. I get what they're trying to do. I do understand that they're trying to make units have specific purposes.
Yeah.
But like they are making it where like...
Yeah.
I mean, growing up in the time when it was all encouraged for you to cut bits of your models up and build them with different weapons and war gear, and the Codex supported it all and had rules for all the weapons that you were giving them all, and it was all customization and personalization. Yeah. For that to go away to just be more generic, just feels shit, really.
I'm a little bit sad that we can't use our Blood Angels Captain in Terminator armor anymore.
Captain Carlian. Yeah, that's true. His loadout's now illegal. Unless you want to chop some things off and glue them back on. You have to convert him to make him legal, which is strange.
Yeah. Can you still buy him?
No, he was made to order in that same one where they made to order like set in that like 6 months ago.
Which will be why they got rid of him, I suppose. Then.
The one like if you use like one of the few units that hasn't lost their weapon options yet, I suppose, like Death Company, right? Because like even Sanguinary Guard lost their weapon options, give or take.
Yeah.
So Death Company didn't lose their weapon options.
Death Company came with a ton of weapons.
So if you look at Power Fists versus Chainswords, right? Because I was thinking about this the other night. I was like, so for your Power Fist, you're going to literally get one less attack than your Chainsword, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you get one less attack, but your attacks are at half the strength, and they have half the AP, and they have half the damage.
Yep.
Right? Is that right? So it's like Power Fist is 3 attacks, strength 8 minus 2 damage. A Chainsword is 4 attacks, strength 4. Yeah, so half the strength, half the AP, half the damage. You only get one more attack. Like, logistically speaking, I think that my thing is like Chainswords, in my opinion, are not fit for purpose at the moment, and this is why I don't like. I bought the jump intercessors, but I don't think I'm going to run them because Chainswords aren't fit for purpose.
Find their purpose as. They're great for their purpose if their purpose is you want to kill Eldar Guardians or Imperial Guard.
Sure, if we need to kill toughness 3 models, then Chainswords are great, right? But anything that's not toughness 3, like they're not like because I was thinking about this. Imagine if Death Company had 6 attacks on chainswords, right? Would they be as good as the Power Fist? Bearing in mind the Power Fist would still have double the AP, right? 3 Power Fists.
Where are you going with this? We know that the things are bad.
Okay, I think where I'm going with this is the loss of weapon options and the static points of the squads is not something that I'm completely on board with still.
Being like how power level were, having said that power level was going away and then implementing it, but just not calling it that.
Yeah, and I think
we've said that multiple times. I don't think any of us disagree with it.
Yeah, so basically, right, so what we get now is this new Jump Intercessor squad that have, I don't even know how many attacks they've got, but they've only got chainswords, there's no weapon options. And I just look at them like, how, someone earlier was saying infiltrators are boring. I think that's boring. It's like 5 guys with chainswords, no weapon options. Sure, you could argue.
Fist, but yeah.
All right, so the sergeant
can
take a
power fist in. You can chuck a couple of plasma pistols in, but really, I don't think they're for that. I think that they are a 90-point high-speed objective capping unit because they also still have that rule that means they do mortals on the charge as well.
Yeah.
So they're a little cheap run-around utility unit that doesn't cost that many points and can do a surprising amount of damage to things with the mortals on the charge.
And if you're running that Vanguard detachment, then they could also be prime candidates for guerrilla tacticsing them off the board and deep striking down and off the board and deep striking
down.
But
I guess my point is Marines will get we've got Outriders that do that, right? They got chainswords. You've got Assault Intercessors, they got chainswords. You've got Vanguard Veterans that basically have Strength 5 chainswords because they're heirloom weapons. How many squads do we need with chainswords? Where are we going to get, the good squads? And I heard someone saying that
the bigger problem behind all this is not complaining about chainswords, it's complaining about melee in general being crap.
Yeah, I guess that would be fair. Yeah, melee is crap in 10th edition. And it's why I've won 9. I know that my stream isn't a super competitive stream and such, but I've won 9 games in a row not running the Blood Angels detachment, running Gladius. And I'd like to be able, I was saying to people, it's just not even an option. When I go to make a list, I don't even consider the Sons of Sanguinius detachment. And I feel like there's going to be a bunch of detachments in this book that are going to have the same problem. You're just not even going to consider them. You're going to be like, I run Gladius, or I run the Firestorm, or I run the Iron Hands one, and all the other detachments. They're not even worth reading. Maybe you'll have some luck with that Vanguard one, but Tony pointed out earlier, the first company one sounds like absolute garbage. Why is anyone going to run that?
Yeah, it doesn't.
I'm going to run
it, sadly. I'll rephrase. It doesn't.
I'm going to run it, and I'm going to run it with 50 Terminators.
Okay, sure, and then you've got -1 damage in melee, and that actually doesn't sound too bad because you can give all those Terminators a 5 up, feel no pain, and it'll be a tanky detachment.
Terminators, Land Raiders.
I mean, to be fair, running an army with nothing but 2 armor saves in it as Space Marines when you've got access to Armor of Contempt and a captain to let you do it again is not bad.
True, and I guess mortal wound spam from the likes of psychic powers is
it's not getting any real benefit from the first company thing because that's not very good. But running a massive skew in any one direction always means that you're going to smash a non-skewed army or an army that happens to be weak against that, and you're going to get battered by someone who's got an army that happens to be really good against it. There's nothing you can do about that. That's the problem with running skew. But I think it'll be a laugh. That's the only reason I'm going to do it.
No, there is a reason to play just to have a laugh. Yes, I was actually enjoying just playing that list with 10 tanks in it because people were saying you won't win this next game, you don't know what you're doing, and I'm like, yes I will. I'll take 10 tanks again. This is great fun. How dare you take 10 tanks as Blood Angels? I was like, I've got Ball Predator. I'm a Blood Angels list. Haha.
Yeah, it'll be more exciting to play than my Custos though, Highland Phoenix.
So we're going on for 60 viewers at the moment. Thank you so much for tuning in to hear us talk a whole load of crap about things and try and find some positive stuff.
I think there is some positive stuff.
I know, but then we just keep getting salted and going off.
I haven't been salty about anything all night. I'm sitting here with you two miserable bastards.
All right, I feel put down. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I'm miserable. I just want to have
John, you're always miserable.
customizable
It's because you're
jump
Scottish and
units.
it rains all the time.
It was raining today, actually. Yeah, it's pretty wet today.
It's Quite a nice.
It wasn't raining anywhere else. It was just a small circle around John.
Scotland.
You know, like it's in cartoons where there's that like rain cloud over the red.
Yeah.
It's an interesting codex. I'm super salty about all the removal of things to legends and all my cool units that I can't use anymore. But at least it's balanced. It seems like we've got lots of stuff in it.
We got a load of...
You've got 6 fairly distinctive different ways of playing it, and they are quite well themed. So you can now make quite a nicely themed army if you're not going hyper competitive. If you were looking for this codex to be the magic bullet that made Space Marines up there with a 50-60% win ratio,
then
you're going to be
thankfully
thank God it doesn't.
Yeah. If it did, then
we'd have another problem,
just like they did on Eldar, and it'd just be a shit show.
Do you guys remember what it was like at the end of 8th?
Sadly, yes.
You know when oh my God, not more Space Marines.
When you got a gazillion free models and it was just ridiculously bullshit.
And if you turned up with Space Marines, everybody looks at you like they were the massivest power gamer. Because everyone was running them. And I don't want that to come back. It would have been nice if we were a little bit more chunky than we are looking like, but it seems fairly balanced. It seems to have some interesting ways of playing.
DTM makes a good point in chat, which is the fact that the London GT winner ran a melee-focused Chaos Space Marines list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did see that, but I haven't seen the list. I don't.
Maybe my problem is more with chainswords and units coming out with no weapon options. I mean, I've been bitter about the no weapon options for forever. I just think we can do better in this day and age, and I don't buy the fact that they can't. I just don't buy the fact that they can't give us units. Like, can we have a jump pack unit that's dedicated to killing anti-tanks? Like, would that be too much to ask?
No.
We're not allowed that. Why?
Infantry, in general,
You're not allowed.
as part of the design philosophy of 10th edition, are not allowed to have weapons that effectively kill vehicles.
But even chainfists can't kill vehicles. And chainfists are anti-vehicle. Like, the Votan have, like, a guy that carries a gun that gets D6 shots that are anti-2 vehicle up or something.
So you agree what I say, that infantry are not allowed to have weapons, melee weapons that can attack vehicles, or weapons in general that can attack vehicles effectively.
So just the issue is we're not allowed melee weapons that can kill vehicles. We're allowed guns that can kill vehicles. That's fine.
Yeah. Well,
not even guns will.
No. They've almost made a point of saying you need tanks to kill tanks and infantry to kill infantry, and that's what they seem to be trying to go for.
Yeah.
And if you did play on the table that they recommend in the book, the amount of terrain that exists does actually limit vehicles to an extent, because they just can't get anywhere. And that rule now, where they only get they can only see through terrain if they're completely in it, does make line of sight for vehicles a lot more. The problem is that every sort of tournament that I've looked at so far, I'm not talking about big ones, but little ones, little local affairs, things like that. They just don't have the amount of terrain to build those kind of tables. And that's going to give vehicles an unfair advantage on it. But if you play with the like GW recommended amount of terrain, you can't bloody get vehicles anywhere. Especially if you're one of the poor sods playing knights.
All right, let me ask you. Okay. I don't want to get too salty. I have one question for you that came up a couple of times in my games, and I felt like it was pretty poor mechanic. Was like, let's say I've got 3 Blade Guard and they're sitting on an objective, and you roll your tank onto that objective that's got OC4. Your tank's got like a handful of wounds left, 3 out of 10 wounds or something, right? Your tank controls that, and my Blade Guard will like bounce off it for turn after turn after turn.
Most tanks OC go down with a few wounds when they start.
They don't. No, they don't. Tanks do not lose OC from low wounds.
Some do.
Well, I mean, 20 wound knights lose OC from having some wounds, but like a Land Raider wouldn't.
Okay, fair enough.
So like my Blade Guard are only going to wound your Land Raider on 6s. Then you're probably going to save, or you're probably going to Armor of Contempt. So like it'll take like 3 Blade Guard probably going to take like.
If they can't punch it, it's got 3 or 4 wounds left, then you can use the grenade strat on them to do a few mortal wounds and ping a few wounds off them that way.
I don't even know if Blade Guard have grenades. That's a good question. But still, I just felt like it was a weird interaction that didn't make much sense to me. Because it was like my 3 guys are standing basically right on top of the objective. Like in real life, they would be standing there literally holding the flag. You have like a tiny little tank track that comes onto the objective, and it's like, all right, that's my objective.
So you bring one of your vehicles in or round.
I didn't have any vehicles left, right? All I had left was my Blade Guard, for example. don't have anything left that could actually really effectively
In that
kill that tank.
situation, you're in a rock and scissors situation, aren't you? So the idea is that you'd have a paper unit somewhere that you could call on to come in and kill the tank.
You know, I'm tired because I really was trying to suddenly immediately think of a dirty joke about the rock and scissoring.
Yeah.
I couldn't get one quick enough though.
I've heard that about you. Yeah.
All right, I'll know for next time that Blade Guard have grenades. I did not realize that. And if you've just got one model left, you still roll all the dice for grenades, right? So it's not like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you roll full value dice for the grenades. Yeah, no matter how many you're in the thing. You just got to hope that they're not like battle shocked at the time, because then they can't.
They can't use grenades. Okay, yeah. How are you feeling the new chapter heroes unit? Says the Eternal Crusader. I'm thinking of running one with Helbrecht for a millboard rock that hits back.
I think it looks really pretty. I think it's got a load of wounds. I don't think it does shit.
No, I think it's worthless. I love the models.
Yeah, models look great.
My major problem with it is one that I bet a lot of people have got, where it's neither fish nor fowl nor what's the other last line of that?
I know what you mean. The banner looks gorgeous. The fact the banner guy has got a huge cloak that continues the cloth thing going down.
Beautiful.
The champion looks great.
It's not that good in melee. It's not that good at shooting. And you've got to attach your captain to it, who gives phenomenal buff. And then you end up wasting that phenomenal buff that you could put on a really good unit because of his free battle stratagem.
Yeah.
And you can't run them without that captain or chapter master in there. Mm-hmm. So you end up wasting either your melee potential or wasting your shooting potential and wasting the fancy strat potential.
Yeah.
Which is sad, really. I just wish they brought a little bit more to them. They're fairly tough, but they're just ablative wounds, really, for a captain. Yeah. And
they got
do you know what else does that? A unit of intercessors.
But they're just not really good at one thing.
Yeah, they're too broad.
Yeah, I was really disappointed with them considering how cool the Firstborn.
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is. Maybe just the Firstborn units, loads of weapon options, loads of fun. Now it seems like my fun is gatekeeped behind, like, you know, I bought like I think I've bought a lot of models like Outriders that I'd like to run. I bought them, you know, I painted them. Like I'd like to run these guys, but I just don't see any reason to. I just don't think they're any good. And Reavers. Like, I bought Reavers and painted them. I was so excited about them. These guys got skull masks. They look super cool. I did that like 3-4 years ago. I've run them one time. Hey, thanks so much for the gifted subs, dude.
You are so very kind with the gifted memberships. So very appreciated. Everybody enjoy your shiny little grot icons.
Yeah,
there we go.
They're wicked. I love that squig.
They are quite cool.
Have you seen the more happy things? Have you seen the squig plushie?
The little plushies.
If I can't, I really, really, really want the little Nurgling and the little squig to give to my little boy. But the little grot is going to be mine, and the little grot is going to sit in the background when we film.
Okay.
Because have you seen the grot, John?
I didn't.
Oh, you got a Nurgling.
I've seen the Nurgling plushie before, yeah.
Oh, I want a Nurgling for Alan. He'll love that.
I got the Nurgling from when it came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I didn't, and now I've regretted it.
And now they're doing the little squig and the grot and the I don't know.
And a slightly different Nurgling.
Yeah.
You need to see. You've got to see the thing. Can't John? You got to find them. You've got the online. Who gives a shit about Blade Guard? Mm-hmm. Find
the only disappointing thing about that range of new plushies was they didn't do one that was a tiny little Tyranid Ripper or something, because that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Was this like a news post from today, or is this just on the store?
Just scroll down, it's quiet. Scrolly. It's on there. Scrolly.
If people want to talk about Blade Guard at the moment, then I reckon that Vanguard veterans are going to go the way of the dodo, and we will soon get Blade Guard with jump packs.
It was towards the end of last week, wasn't it? Was it the end of last week?
Well, last week was the 28th.
Yeah, so it must be up from there a little bit.
So it should be here somewhere. I don't see
it. Here somewhere.
Was it not in this pre-order? I think I might have seen it. Is it this pre-order one?
It had its own article.
Did it?
Definitely had its own article.
The Imperial 15 detachment say that all your guns are heavy. And if you've already got heavy, then you get +1 to wound, as long as you don't move.
Where is it? I can't even see it.
I can't find your plushie.
I'm going to find this. I'm going to find
Okay.
this, and I'm going to send you a link, John.
You're going
and
to
then
send me
can
a
print
link,
it.
okay?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
this is the important stuff, right?
What new fluffy things? That seems reasonable.
James says that the command squad crossing the Rubicon is good news because maybe we'll get a command squad / honor guard for the Blood Angels eventually. I mean, we did.
You expect everything to get Primaris up soon, just for the sake of the new sculpts and the more sales that it will get them.
Yeah, I mean, 100% everything is going
Now,
Primaris.
If I just wanted a set of models to paint, that would be really, really fun. I'd buy that command squad in a heartbeat. As it is, the only thing that I bought from that set was the
There you go.
cards and the what's it called? The Terminators.
Yeah.
Because you can never have too many Terminators. I just sent you the link, John.
I've got it.
It's fun.
He's whipped it up already.
Look at that little grot.
He is cool, isn't he?
Click on the
that
drop.
is
Click on the drop.
basically-
Make the image of it full screen, or at least bigger.
You happy with that?
No, just click it. Single click. There you go.
That's a squig.
That's
That's not a grot. That's a squid, mate. I mean, it also looks cool, but yeah,
It's beautiful, but it's not grot.
the grot's one in the middle.
I mean, you should know that.
Yeah, I know what an orc is. Or a goblin, sorry.
Isn't that just literally our little emoji thing that we have for our chat?
I was going to say, back in Warhammer Online, many years ago, you used to play a squig. You could get the squig as a pet on Warhammer Online. Apparently, it's back now. People were telling me, they were like, "John, have you checked out Warhammer Online?" I was like, "No, I thought EA killed it." But...
Oh, which reminds me. So, Tony's often said that he's really sad about how Age of Sigmar misses the sense of fun and humour that old Warhammer used to have. When you had like Goblin Doom Divers and Squiggo, because there's all sorts of crazy ass Goblin stuff. They've said that there's going to be this live stream on Warhammer Day on Saturday the 14th when there will be big news about Warhammer Old World.
I'm really hoping they don't go too dark and serious with Warhammer Old World. I want silliness back, right?
I suspect they will.
I want silly. You know? And what we're going to get is some sort of like super grimdark, moody, realistic miserableness.
I mean,
I was going to say, what are the Total War games? I only played the first Total War. I know there's 3 of them now.
Yeah.
So the Total War games were the 3 parts of the annihilation of the Warhammer Old World that they did in book form, and they just started off with Total War 1, Total War 2, and Total War 3.
Yeah, they followed the end times, right? Chaos Gods coming down from the Chaos Ways.
Great set of stories and stuff, and I remember reading through it at the time because when that happened, I was massive in Warhammer Fantasy was just my absolute thing. I loved it. I played it all the time. I got all the books. I was so excited, and then I saw Sigmar come out, and I thought, brilliant! This is a cool new game. When's the new edition of Fantasy coming out? Wait, sorry, that is the new edition. You mean there isn't a new edition of Fantasy? That it's just gone. And all of my models can go in the bin, all of them. And then it turns out when they're bringing the Old World back, all of my armies are the armies they're not bringing back to Old World. I don't have a single army that is usable in the new Old World game.
But I would put money on them expanding over time, Tony. Like if it's popular, it'll get expanded.
I suspect it's like all those people that got really excited when they said they were bringing back Epic, and then they said that you were not having any Xenos.
Yeah, that was disappointing. It's cool that they're going to do Epic again because I really like Epic, but it's a real shame that it's just Horus Heresy only.
Yeah, I think that based on I suppose it's hard to speculate. No, I was gonna speculate about the Old World, but I won't do that. But
you can.
But if you're old, like I'm not throwing away any of my Forge World stuff. I'm holding on to it with like the smallest beacon of hope that at some point in the future they go, do you know what? If we actually look at Leviathan Dreadnoughts, they're basically the same as a Redemptor Dreadnought. If you read the Legends rules, there's very little between them. Maybe if you want to run your Leviathan as a proxy of a Redemptor Dreadnought, you can do that.
I think they will, but for different reasons. And I think the reasons why they will be, oh shit, Horus Heresy isn't selling very much. How can we get more sales? Make it all legal in 40k again.
Well,
watch it all sell.
I was going to say, here's the Yeah, you make a really good point, Mark. What happened in the Arcs of Omen season? Hey, it's the end of the edition. Bring out all the toys. Anything that you had before, it's legal now. Blah, da, 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 da. You're telling me there's never gonna I had Gilliman running my Blood Angels list for like 6 months, and I had so much fun with it. Gilliman was actually really, really good with Blood Angels at that point in that edition. I wonder if we want to see an Arcs of Omen type end of season.
We will, yeah. See something.
You know, like for this season, Horus Heresy tanks are back, or Spartan tanks are back. If you have a Spartan, you can now run it. Yeah, I mean, why not? At the end of the season, at the end of the edition, people fall off. It's the same as video games, right? At the end of a season or end of an edition, people aren't playing anymore. So you need to do something to keep them excited. Yeah, we could have and when Arcs of Omen first got released, I was like, oh, I fucking hate this. I hate Arcs of Omen. It doesn't make any sense, you know. Everything, use anything you want all the time, no detachments, blah, blah, blah. Didn't like it. But once you actually started playing it, I was like, all right, Arcs of Omen's pretty cool because it's just
really love boarding actions with the terrain and the whole space hockey look and feel of it and the smaller battles with the restrictions on it. I think still it's a really, really good way of playing.
I enjoyed that.
We have kind of gotten off the subject a little bit of the new Codex Space Marines. If anybody in chat has any questions, if you remember you get a free super chat once a month, which is probably worth using because we don't do like a live stream every couple of weeks, so every month. So it'll be worth using if you want to do it. Any super chats we guarantee we'll read out and address as always. I guess so. Yeah, Codex Space Marines. We've all bought it, I suppose. I haven't pre-ordered anything else, but I pre-ordered the book.
I was going to say, do you think anything will come on? What are you expecting on the 14th?
So they've said there's going to be 40k news, there's going to be Age of Sigmar news, there's going to be Old World news and Kill Team news.
I meant more like specifically what you think the 40k news will be on the...
I think it'll be the next Codex releases.
Yeah, I mean, we know what they're going to be as part of that roadmap. I think one of them's AdMech.
It could be Christmas boxes as well. That wouldn't surprise me. We must be getting close to announcing time for the Christmas boxes.
I also was thinking about this last night. What's happened to Chapter Approved?
They haven't said. They've been very careful to say nothing about what's going on with Chapter Approved. I mean, as of right now, Chapter Approved is the deck of cards and the rules pamphlet that came with it. That is what Chapter Approved is.
Which only just went on sale for the one. That only just went on sale like this weekend. It was up for pre-order, right?
No, because they did the cards that came in the box and they were fine. Then they were going to sell them separately and they were fucked. There were printing errors all over the place, so they withdrew them from sale straight away. So the ones that went on pre-order this weekend were the new printing of it that were not fucked.
I see. Okay, because they had to refund a bunch of people. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So
the roadmap says the two next codices are AdMech and Necrons in winter 23.
Yeah, AdMech have those robots that have anti-vehicle guns. I forget what they're called. The ones that used to have to deploy. I don't know if they still deploy. And then they can't move again for the rest of the game. Do you know which robots I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know the ones you mean. The Cataphren breaches or whatever?
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Our is still shit. They're not really improved.
They're not improved. They're still... In fact, they're worse because the Interceptor's lost hover mode.
The what?
Yeah, I don't
the Stormhawk Interceptor used to have a hover mode.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay.
No, it doesn't. So it has to come on and turn 2 and fly on and all that shit. So, unfortunately, sadly, the Flyers got even worse. To answer Highland's question, Land Raiders or Repulsors, Land Raiders, 100% Land Raiders with extra Land Raiders.
Both for different reasons. Both are good in different situations, as far as I'm concerned.
If you need some kind of a metic to make you sick, then the Repulsor definitely wins.
Just going back to the matter of Chapter Approved briefly, what I reckon is going to happen is they'll release a new set of cards with new secondary objectives and new missions and new or everything in it, and a new rules pamphlet for us to buy. And I don't think it'll be every 6 months. I think after they made Age of Sigmar's General's Handbook go from 6 months to every 12 months, I reckon they'll be doing the same with 40k.
Because I was going to say, I didn't like the chapter approved, what you may call it, cadence, I guess, last edition.
Oh, 6 months was far too fast. It was awful.
Yeah, and the other thing that I didn't like was, like, I think in a couple of the books, there was no changes to the missions. Like, it was the same carbon copy missions, and it was like, I paid $20 for what here? You know, like a different...
They changed and tweaked secondary objectives, but the missions were still the same for book on book. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I have, you know, like, how many games have you guys have played of Leviathan at this point? You played a lot, or?
Played a fair few, yeah.
4 or 5?
Not as many as I would like to play, but I've played a decent number, yeah.
I was going to say, welcome to the club. Being a family man, Tony, you will never play as many games as you would like to play from this day on.
In all honesty, I've not played enough, and I've played a lot more smaller games than I used to, because I can sort of squeeze those in.
I've been taking the opportunity to play more things and broaden my horizons a little bit that I'm having more fun with.
I reckon full-size games, I must have played about 10 now, 10 or 12.
Okay.
Because I still think there's a
over the past few months.
Yeah, there's a few secondaries that I find very like, there's ones that say if you draw this in turn 1, redraw them, but there's some that would definitely need that on them that don't have it. Like, I think the one that's like storm your enemy's home field objective literally doesn't have the caveat that, like, you can't score this in turn 1. Assassinate. How are you going to assassinate characters in turn 1 when most people start all their characters in big squads?
So I kind of like the tactical choice that gives you, where you have to choose whether you want to keep it for potential easy scoring later or ditch it now and not be able to score it at all. I think that's an interesting decision to have to make. I
have to say, I really like the random objectives. That is something I do quite like playing with. But then I used to love Tempest and Maelstrom before that.
I just think that...
Go on.
I just think that there's some that, like, really... Like, there's... I'm for the cards now. I was very against them. I like the cards. I just think there's some that make no sense. Like that you just... Your chances of scoring them in turn 1 are 0.
Yeah.
And I suppose you're right. There is a tactical decision to say if you're holding on to them, but I just think there's a few more that could probably benefit from, because it feels frustrating, right? Like if you
tried 10th in 9th edition, and that was like pulling teeth.
Oh, I hated what was it called? It wasn't even called. I think it was Maelstrom of War.
Version before
Maelstrom
was badly balanced. It was.
I hated Maelstrom of War. I played it one time and almost never played 40k again after that, because I was like, this is how you score in tournaments? This seems terrible to me, you know?
Yeah,
I hated it.
Maelstrom was all right, but we needed a lot of house ruling. Tempest I thought was a lot better.
Yeah, they smoothed off a lot of the rough edges.
I've quite enjoyed playing slightly smaller games so far in 10th. I've played, although I've only played sort of like a dozen or so at 2,000 points. I played a lot more at 1,500 points, which when I got into 40k, it was like the tail end of second edition. Second edition was mostly 2,000, but when we went into third, that 1,500 became the standard size game.
Yeah.
And playing 1,500 on sort of like there's a big table, it gives a little bit more space around things. So there's a little bit more. It's a little bit more difficult to screen out the whole board. It gives a bit more maneuverability. Your choices, you've got less room in some ways for error, because if you lose a unit, it becomes more important, and it speeds the game up a little bit. I've genuinely had more fun playing 1,500 points than 2,000 in 10th so far. I've just found the games to be a little bit more tactical.
I had a post come up from 10 years ago from a tournament that I went to, which was the first tournament when I was getting back into 40k after having gotten off it from going to uni before getting jobs and having disposable income again. And that was a 1,500 point tournament. And looking at what was in my army at the time it's a joke. It's
not a lot, is it?
Hilarious. It's really not. There are 2 squads of 10 assault marines with jump packs. There's Mephiston.
Yep.
There's a Storm Raven. There was a Baal Predator. And then there was 3 Eldar Wind Riders, an Eldar Autarch on jet bike, and an Eldar Crimson Hunter.
Yeah. I just want to see if I can find something.
Because I could ally them at the time, and I thought it was funny.
Organise yourselves.
There's like almost nothing in this army. It's pathetic.
I was going to say, back in second edition, when I played it anyway, it was Hero Hammer.
Yeah. Oh well, there we go. And only the Autark is a new model. Wrong. So, going back to the Codex briefly, are there any of the detachments or things in there that you want to give a go in a new way that is a new build of army or a new style of playing? Or have you only got ways in which you would change up or mix up your existing army?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I'm not blown away by any of them. I don't necessarily want to feel my Blood Angels as pseudo Iron Hands and just be that shooting force that people think is super strong, because I could have done that multiple times before, I guess.
Why not? If it gets you a more powerful win and enhances what you're already doing, why not do it?
I mean, it's a good question, I suppose. I quite like the flexibility Gladius gives, though. Like, I think there's a lot of strength in the Assault, Tactical, and Devastator Doctrine. Being able to call them on a specific turn when you specifically need them. I think there's a lot of strength in that. You know, like
concentrating power down from something you would get over all 5 turns to just having them at that really key moment when you need it.
Because, I mean, like, well, as a Space Marine player, I don't know, in a bunch of my games, people are going to try and wrap up into my tanks and stuff in about turn 3. So when that happens, and I can just fall my whole army back and shoot the crap out of them and then charge them back, it's just really, really strong, being able to advance and shoot everything in Devastator Doctrine, get those advance and charges as well when you need them. It's just, it's yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm on a 9-game winning streak with Gladius, and I've got a tournament in like 6 weeks or something. So assuming that, yeah.
Is it a local one to yourself again, the same sort of area and place that you've been to before?
Yeah, it's the one.
Is Andrew running it?
No, Andrew doesn't run it. It's called Scottish Takeover, and when I went there 2 years ago, that was the one that I would have finished second if they hadn't, if they'd had the new way of scoring the game. So I've got a chance of getting like a top 5 finish. So I'm gonna run pretty much what I'm running at the moment. I think it went down in points based on these changes.
So let's say off the top of your head, you've got 150 extra points. What would you put in your army that's not already there?
It's a good question. I mean, I'd probably put in Voidsman. I'm probably only going to get like 50 points, but I'd probably put in Voidsman or well, I mean, people are talking about the new Scout Squads. I guess new Scout Squad might not be too bad.
The difference there is the Voidsman will be a little bit cheaper, and their battle line, if that makes any real difference.
I mean, it does in the very, very odd situation that Voidsman would get onto an objective, but they usually just die anyway, Voidsman. There we go. What's this White Dwarf from which year?
So, I don't remember. But
Does it not say on the spine of it, no?
Is it not
it's number 2 to 8, but this was one of those times when they didn't put dates on them, they just put numbers. It's 2 to 8, so this is pretty early. It's 3rd edition. It's around the release of. It's actually the release of Codex Blood Angels.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I've got that one.
And it's one of my favourites. But this is a 1500. This is Gav Thorpe's 1500 point Blood Angels army. Back in.
I was going to say that book's from that Codex is. Sorry, that White Dwarf is from December 1998. Do not be bending it open like that and damaging the spine.
Perfect condition,
you heathen! It better be perfect.
This is.
Okay.
So, this is what he took. This was 1500 points back when the first ever Blood Angels Codex came out, unless you count Angel of Death, which I don't because it was shared with the Dark Angels. So, heavy support, Predator, Baal variant, 110 points. Fast attack, land speeder tornado with multi-melter and heavy flamer, only 75 points back then. 5-man scout squad, 65 points with combat shotguns and a veteran sergeant. A 5-man tactical squad with bolters and a missile launcher, 75 points. A 5-man tactical squad with bolters, frag grenades, and a flamer for 75 points. An extra 5 points for the frag grenades. The Inner Rhino for 65 points. You've got to pay 3 points for smoke launchers too. A Furioso Dreadnought for 95 points. A 5-man assault squad with Terminator runners. So that's like the old equivalent of Vanguard veterans. So what was that? 140 points plus 40 points for the Terminator runners.
So the points aren't a million miles away.
They're not far off, are they?
No.
All in all, this assault squad, so basically Vanguard veterans, was what's that, 180, 192, 202, 207, so 217 points, and that's 5 men with basically 5 Vanguard veterans with chainswords and that, a veteran sergeant with a power weapon, and 2 plasma pistols. That is basically the new jump assault intercessors. 2 plasma pistols, a single power weapon.
One thing I really like about Warhammer Plus that doesn't get talked about very much
is the Vault.
Really cool
Best
feature
thing on there
is the archive they've got of all of the old White Dwarfs and all of the old source books and all the old painting supplements that they did.
Yeah,
huge archive, all this stuff. It's really cool going through it all.
Love all this old stuff. How much do you reckon a chaplain used to be, John? Chaplain with jump pack.
Well, based on those points cost, not a million miles, like 85.
180, an extra 20 for the jump pack. 200 points the old chaplain used to cost us.
That is quite expensive.
What?
Yeah. The HQ one was a Space Marine Force Commander. He was 60 points. With a plasma pistol for 15, a power weapon for 15, a jump pack for 20, Artificer armor for 20, Iron Halo for 25, Terminator armor for another 15. Jesus Christ, they add up quick.
Take it back, yeah, they're definitely.
5 honor guards with jump packs and Terminator honors, with a plasma pistol, a power fist. There's a Tech Marine in there, and a standard bale with the Grail.
I have that book. I have that book, but it's been so many years.
But
remind me what Terminator honors does.
Gives you an extra attack.
Gave you an extra attack. Didn't do anything to your armor save.
It's basically veteran status.
Okay, just give you an extra
upgrade
attack.
for being a veteran. By being a veteran, you have Terminator honors.
Yeah,
I see.
like 10 points per dude for an extra attack, sort of thing, you know.
Tony, I want to ask a question I just asked John while you popped away to get your White Dwarf for a second.
Yeah.
The new detachments that you've read.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas for new armies you want to play off the detachments and rules that you've seen?
Well, I want to build this one.
Give you ways it's going to tweak things you're already playing.
In all seriousness, apart from the fact that I'm going to run that Terminator army because it just sounds stupid, I think the Iron Hands one appeals to me because I do like a lot of dreadnoughts, and I feel that it's very strong. It's got some decent strats and things like that as well, which I think we haven't really talked about, which I think is quite nice. The Salamanders one would be a laugh if you like a lot of mid-strength weapons and getting close up, and I think that could be quite useful. I do quite like the idea of mechanized infantry. I've always liked mechanized units, and I actually think even just big units in Land Raiders in that.
Have you read the stats in detail that let you piss around with the transports and getting in, all that sort of stuff? So
bringing lots of stuff in things like Land Raiders in that detachment, I think, could be quite powerful. I did wonder about running a Storm Raven in it as well. But I think the Storm Raven is just too many points to play with like that.
It's gone down in the new points.
It does, yeah.
A little bit.
So I think that those two are probably the strongest for me. The Storm Lance one with Advance and Charge is cool. And if I wanted to play a kind of Golden Host, I'd probably stick it in there at the moment rather than the Sons of Sanguinius detachment. So yeah, I'm probably mostly going to play with the first company one because it's stupid. The armored one because I like tanks and dreadnoughts. And if I actually wanted to win, I might probably go with the Salamanders-y one at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I think the Salamanders one is going to be the one that a lot of people go and try out.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stick to Gladius. I might try out that Salamanders one.
Gladius I think is probably arguably still one of the more powerful ones.
It is so flexible. And it doesn't really give anything up in doing so.
No. I mean, you've lost your Oath the moment stuff, but the way I look at it is Oath was just killing one unit, right? We still have to kill a lot of other things.
Yeah.
New.
The new
This is
Ball
when the
Predator.
Ball Predator first come out.
Oh, that's like the boxy Predator as well. Look at it.
Yeah, that was really short-lived. Between they went with the curvy one, they had this
Yeah.
one really briefly, and then they very quickly went to the one we know and love.
And the new Horus Heresy built
It's the curvy one
Predator
before
looks like the old curvy one, yeah.
Yeah, so this particular sort of like boxy sponsors one didn't last for very long. And I haven't got one of these, and I would love one.
No, I don't have one of the boxy sponsored ones either.
But yeah, I just think out this month is the awesome new Blood Angels Baal class Predator. Just made me laugh.
The Baal class Predator. Does it say anything else exciting about it?
The fluff for it was always really weird. It's like Blood Angels have found a special STL that allows them to make the Predators into Baal Predators, and they're not going to tell the AdMech how to do it. The AdMech got all pissy about it. It's like, what? Where did that come from?
Yeah, basically, it was a bit. It didn't really have any special rules in third edition. It was kind of fourth onwards that they started to have really weird rules. In third, it was just different loadout.
Different ones.
Cool.
Oh, this is a big army. There's a good battle report in here. Look,
Wow.
that's an army, isn't it?
That is pretty sizable, actually, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find out how many points it is, and that was what it was against. Look at that Eldar.
Jesus.
Striking Land Raiders was awesome.
That was wicked, wasn't it?
That's true.
So that's a 3,000. Oh no, it's not. Yeah, it's about 3,000 point army that one just shows you that Blood Angels.
3,000 point armies back in second and third edition literally took a week to play those games.
Oh
Absolutely.
no, third edition didn't. Second edition did.
Second edition did.
Third edition
Overwatch.
took all of the special rules out of the game, and it was super simple. I loved third edition because it was so quick to play. It was the edition where Rhino rushing Space Marines, you could charge out of a Rhino, was really powerful.
Yeah, that's fair.
I wonder who won. Let's find out. Have we got any good questions yet? Because I'm really just reading an old White Dwarf.
No, there's conversation going on. We're waffling away. We've kind of
Blood Angels won.
our way through the Codex.
3,686 VP. 3,122 VP.
3,000 victory points. That was the good old days, huh?
That was the good old days. Just think of the admin of counting all those up as you play.
There's that edition as well where you rolled a dice for every infantry unit you had at the start of the game, and on a one, they lost one model from their unit, and they got turned into their own Death Company unit instead.
Yeah. So, but the thing was, you lost all their war gear. So if that happened to a tactical squad, you were like, yes, Death Company Marine for the price of a tactical Marine. If it happened to your Terminator squad, you started crying.
Yeah.
It was a strange time to play Warhammer. All right, if there's no more questions, I guess you can leave questions in the chat.
Indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Answering any of your questions.
Whatever your favourite detachment is and the idea that you've got for making the most out of it in the new Codex, please post it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you and what thoughts you're doing. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel because it does help us grow and talk to more people with all of our crazy bullshit and beers and weird things. Tony, how was your rice beer?
It was actually very, very nice. It was so nice that it is now on my approved list to buy another can of it if I go to the beer shop.
I'm going to need to actually start.
Can of that then, just give it a go.
I'm just looking at some of the questions in the chat as well. How did your army case way back in the day? My Sisters of Battle army, which was all metal, that weighed a lot because they were quite cheap in points. Well, I had a lot of sisters. It was the edition where if you roll, at the start of each turn, you had to roll d6 for every one of your units, and on a 1, it moved forwards, which was really upsettingly devastating because they couldn't shoot.
John, you've been drinking something this evening. What has it been that you've been drinking?
Literally water.
Is it just a bottle of water?
It's just water.
Okay.
Just water in a vacuum sealed thing, so it's cold. I just like cold water.
I miss Mephi being an absolute monster, but nothing can touch his second edition version.
I have this feeling that when they redo the data sheets to remove all of the units that aren't there anymore and add in the names of the units that are there instead, I have a feeling that Meph's going to be able to lead Blade Guard. I don't know why. I've got nothing to back it up, no evidence. I just think it's going to happen.
I think they were. It's funny that because I think they made some of their decisions on who can lead who or who can join who based on balance, right? And they obviously thought, Mephiston leading Blade Guard, that'll be pretty strong. But they didn't. And whoever's writing the Blood Angels Codex or the Index must have thought that. They didn't get the memo that fucking every vehicle in the game is going to be toughness 10 and Blade Guard won't wound any of them. Well, so it won't matter at all. Like, it's... A
lot of characters have had the things that they can lead expanded now, because you no longer have Firstborn Captain and Primaris Captain. You just have Captain, and it can lead both whatever Firstborn units remain, like Tactical Squads and Death Company, etc., and Tacticus Armoured stuff, like Intercessors and so forth. So I reckon that's going to happen.
Kez was asking, do we know about Primaris Sanguiguard? We know nothing about them. And
they're already out.
You've missed them. They all sold out. They were a limited run.
Came out. They sold out.
Only.
Next
they
time,
went to Legends.
That's great. Next time someone asks about that in my stream, like, do you know when such and such? Just be like, deadpan. Oh, dude, they were out like last week. Did you miss them?
If you didn't order them, you can't get them again. Ever.
Right. As we're getting to the end, I want to finish on something. So they used to have something.
Just wipe it off afterwards, Tony. That's fine.
Yeah. Hey, not on this. I can't afford it. I'm not going to get a replacement for this copy. They used to have the old letters page.
Oh, yeah.
And this one I thought was particularly poignant for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's entitled To Beard or Not to Beard.
Okay.
And I'm cutting bits out. I'm shortening the letter because there was some other stuff in there as well, and it would take too long. So,
all right.
As I said, in games played in my youth, we bent, twisted, and deformed the rules into such shapes to send a yoga adept into a physical and nervous breakdown in order to make the games more interesting and informal, and we had fun doing it to boot. Now, much to my disgust, we have narrow-minded, tunnel-visioned oiks turning up at clubs with either eyesore-painted armies or is becoming more common, unpainted units. I saw a dragon without wings or rider being played by a beardy player at one club. Belabouring the tiniest infringement of the rules in order to ensure the total annihilation of the opposing player, they have forgotten how to just enjoy a scrap, and they now set out to win at all costs.
More things change.
Being a beard will alienate you from other players, as they will be put off by your power playing, so you won't get a game. I am not the greatest loser in the world, seeing a grown man cry is a little off-putting, but each time I've lost, which is about as often as Gav thought, I've gone away with a new lesson learned and come back with some revised tactic or other, only to be trashed within an inch of my table edge again. But at least I'm evolving a gaming strategy that is slowly beginning to work. Remember, it is only a game, and you may have to lose a few battles and a large chunk of your ego in order to win the war. Go into a club with the idea of good sportsmanship foremost in your mind, and you'll get along fine. Remember, laugh and the world laughs with you. Become a beard and you game alone. And I just thought that was very poignant, considering all the ranty bollocks that John comes out with.
Excellent. So on the one hand, don't be a beard, play for fun. And on the other hand, John is on his 9-game winning streak. Okay?
Is he really? I hadn't heard that.
Had you not?
No, John, is it 9 games now you've won over?
Wow. What's your record for a winning streak, John?
Yeah,
I was going to say, I'll just take this best sportsmanship and turn it sideways and ram it up there.
I just thought it, because, like, genuinely, the reason I was looking for this particular issue of White Dwarf, I was reading it the other day, because it's one of my favourites. This genuinely is this piece of art that got me into Blood Angels.
Okay.
But it was that kind of like, hang on, haven't we all been having these same conversations about like power gaming on the up and things like that? And this is 1998. People are concerned about the rise of competitive power gaming.
Don't change, do they?
Yeah, people don't change. Things don't change.
They just develop.
Well, maybe the lesson to be learned is to, if you're not enjoying the removal of all the units, take a step back and play some Legends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or try a
Blood Bowl. Have you seen the new vampires
last night?
Because they
the vampires do look cool. Yeah. Have they arrived yet?
Yeah, they're really, really nice. The models are spectacular.
Awesome. We'll see if we can get a game of Amazons versus vampires at some point.
Oh yeah, that'd be a laugh.
That'd be fun.
Tessa says story time with Tony. I'd love story time with Tony. I'll start reading audiobooks on YouTube.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That won't.
There are people who make full channels out of that stuff.
There are. They're probably not dyslexic.
Fair enough. We don't tend to do pile of gories on live streams. We tend to do them on the pre-recorded ones.
Which is good because I haven't painted anything.
Yeah. Because you've been busy being a new dad, which is fair.
I'm busy being a new dad and having a new job, which means I have no free time.
Mm-hmm.
Sellers remembers the anti-beardy campaign. It was an abysmal failure. It wasn't, because there were some of us that are still fighting it. Yeah. 20 years I've been at this and I'm still fighting.
Favorite old world model, Tony, DTM asks.
Screaming Spog Patpots were very nice.
It's got to be the Goblin Doom Diver for me. The
Goblin
Goblin
Doom Diver
with the
was
giant
beautiful.
plastic band catapult just going, that's a great little thing.
I have a real soft spot for the Amazon style lizard men.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was really the era that I got into Warhammer Fantasy. But I think probably if I had to just pick one unit that I really liked, might be the Cold One Knights, the original Dark Elf Cold One Knights. Because the Cold Ones looked so cool, the kind of square jaw, kind of Godzilla-y raptor thing going on.
Fair. Did you play Old World Warhammer at all, John? You into it at all?
No, but I played. That's what I said. I played Warhammer Online extensively.
Gotcha.
And
that was one that was made by the Dark Ages of Camelot people, wasn't it? It was very PvP focused.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it was almost like a poor man's World of Warcraft. But if you like PvP, it was a good game, and I played a warrior priest. So I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite, but I genuinely liked that class because it was basically you had a thunderhammer, but you were also a healer. So what's not to love about that, right? Because most of the time, if you're playing an MMO and you are a healer, you heal. You don't hit people in the face with a big hammer. But the warrior priest did, and I had a lot of fun actually playing that. So yeah, I don't know if there's a named warrior priest, but my generic one, I guess, was cool. I really liked Warhammer Online. It was one of those ones. EA, we won't get into video games tonight, but I feel like, yeah, we won't get into it. It's fine.
So comments in the chat again. Yeah, I like the older Druchii ones, the bigger ones, more armored, heavier ones. The Sea Guard were beautiful. They really were very pretty.
Which of the new detachments do you think is the worst fit for us?
That Firestorm. The Imperial Fist, but not Imperial Fist one.
So the Imperial Fist Anvil one, or the First Company one.
You see, I don't think that's a bad fit for us. I think it's a bad detachment, but we do like historically a lot of Terminators and things. So from a fluff perspective, it works out quite well.
I think the Stormlance one is really bad for us as well. Like, it's worse than people will be excited because they're like, "Ooh, advance and charge," but realistically, it's pretty bad detachment
it's
for us.
a great idea for having the mobility and getting into combat and charging across. You're just not going to be able to punch very much when you get there. Is unfortunate.
Important. I forgot Goblin Fanatics. They were incredible. They had some.
With the ball and chain and things.
Yeah.
Which is why you bought that Blood Bolting to be. Yeah, makes perfect sense.
That's why I've got a Snotling. Do you remember the original Snotling pump wagon?
Mm-hmm.
That was cool as well. The metal one. That used to fall apart all the time.
And the metal steam tank. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
You could kill someone with that. If you put it in a sock, you'd get arrested for an offensive weapon.
Have you ever heard about the old metal Thunderhawk? Have you heard the story about the old metal Thunderhawk at all?
Yeah, someone broke it, didn't they?
Yeah. What kind of moron would do that? Right.
No. Yeah, some crazy person gave it to a kid.
Was it fully painted and built at the time?
It was. It was in part of a display of the entire Ultramarines company.
Did it just like drop it
pride and place
or something?
Sorry?
Did it just drop it and it fell?
Yeah, it just literally exploded into 1,000 pieces because they hadn't discovered pinning at that point, apparently.
Super glue was pretty bad in the 90s as well.
Handmade as well. The later ones were cast from it.
Well, you did them a favour. You broke it down so they could make the casts.
Yeah. Absolutely. You prompted improvement through destruction. That's clearly what it was.
It wasn't long after then they started putting all the displays behind cabinets, but that was back when you didn't have like now you go and it's all like lovely cabinets and things like that. But the old display thing at Warhammer World, they used to have like a guide, and it was just some random guy or whatever, or someone was handy that worked there, and they'd take you round.
Okay.
In little groups because it was much more open and you could touch things and poke things and drop them.
best unit for each detachment video. We could do a detachment focus video series. We could do a series of them.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah,
I think we
I was
probably
going to
will,
say.
be honest.
Yeah, and apparently Warhammer Online is back. By the way, if you never played it,
I've never played it in my life.
so if you're ever bored of World of Warcraft, Mark, Warhammer Online.
I have not logged into Warcraft for a couple of weeks because I'm currently, for the first time in 3 years, once again balls deep in Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh right, yeah,
With the rework of that and the expansion, and I'm really enjoying playing it again.
Nice.
Oh, that old Metal Screaming Bell was a beautiful model as well. That was really very cool. Apparently, Zach says someone at his local game shop years ago deployed a metal Thunderhawk and broke the table. It was so heavy.
Well,
I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Has yours come out of the cabinet that you put it in after you painted it yet?
Yeah, but it took me so long to get it back in again. It's not coming back out.
Okay.
It only fits in there in one exact orientation, and you have to tilt it a little bit.
Yeah, you showed me.
Which is not convenient. But yeah, I think we've all got the Codex coming out, so we'll do a getting started or not getting started with Space Marines video shortly, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I think we'll probably do a shorter video on each of the detachments and like lists that can go in that style of detachment at some point.
John, are you bored with us calling it not getting started with yet? Because you're angry about it being called getting started with and you wanted a different title, but you couldn't think of a different title.
Well, we can make up another title. I thought it was quite... The Custodes video got lots of watches, and it was called Not Getting Started with Custodes, sort of tongue-in-cheek. So people clicked on it probably because they're like, what do you mean not getting started?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to carry on with not getting started with.
We could do. All right. I think at this point I like it when people tell us that we don't know what we're talking about, because it's the same on the Blood Angels channel. I get the odd comment now where someone tells me I don't know what I'm talking about, and I take it with stride.
And we filmed that like about a week before Art of War did theirs, and they had exactly the same problems with them that we did.
And then
anyway,
Status Late came out, which you got amended for a little bit, if I recall correctly.
It did. Sorry, Smithy's just said that's why you keep the Thunderhawk and display on your dinner table. But Smithy, I do generally keep my Thunderhawk on it. Unironically, I do keep the Thunderhawk in the middle of my dinner table a lot of the time. I think that's where it was when Mark came over the first time.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't fit anywhere conveniently. The damn thing is so big you can't get in a display cabinet.
Yeah.
How about the 3 Grots having a cheeky look at? This is what I found on the sorry, I was on the internet and I found that. No, that's Major Kill, isn't it? With the boatload of Battle Mace 40 million pawn.
Oh dear.
Wow. Okay.
Is that what he says? Is it Battle Mace 40 million? Or?
Don't know.
I'm not familiar with this reference, I'm afraid.
Oh no, he has. If you sign up to his Patreon, you get Warhammer Hentai.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah. Okay. I guess you should probably stop watching us now because we've got nothing else.
We're just getting ourselves in more and more demonetized states.
Woohoo! Loving it. So yeah, for the last time this stream, if you're still watching, if you've enjoyed what we've put out, do please like and subscribe. It does help us grow. It does help us reach a larger audience, and maybe one day GW will admit we exist, and then we'll have to stop bad mouthing them as much as we do.
We don't badmouth. Actually, we do, don't we?
Yeah. We try and take the good with the bad, but unfortunately, there's...
That sounds like a great video title Highland Phoenix just put in. Why don't we call our next video "Why Are Firstborn Still in This Codex?" that will get some clicks.
I'm reminded of the tier list that Art of War were doing a while ago, and they named their different tiers. The one at the top was Tournament Staple, and the one at the bottom was always YGWY.
yeah, I saw that.
I thought that was brilliant. That was great.
I'm sure I saw a Death Guard video where the guy was just like, "Why, my God, GW? Why Death Guard are on like a 20% win rate?" He's like, "What even is this?" I killed Mortarian with fucking bolters. It was glorious.
Just to finish this off, I want to read you this great Blood Angels Army deal.
Okay. Oh, the great deal is at the back. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's £84.
If you want us to do videos of Tony just reading random bits out of White Dwarves, then put it in the comments.
25 years ago. So this contains...
we will make these things happen. We'll believe into it.
Yeah, it contains a Space Marine Scout Squad worth £9.
The metal or what?
Metal, of course.
Yeah,
Everything
metal,
is
of
Blood
course.
Angel's Wild Class Predator worth £20. Remember that was also mostly metal. A Space Marine Command Squad, a Space Marine Battle Force, which contained 5 metal Terminators. Oh no, it was the first plastic Terminator, I think. A 10-man tactical squad, 3 bikes and a land speeder, and listen to this: Blood Angel's shoulder pad for all Space Marines, and a copy of Codex Blood Angels free. Do you remember how much Codex Blood Angels was back then?
No, but
£4. If you wanted Codex Space Marines, which you did, to be fair, to go with it, that was £8.
Would there be licensing issues, or just like went on and did an ASMR reading chapter by chapter of Dante?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be a problem with it. Okay, maybe when we won't do
Do you
that.
know how much Dante used to cost?
£3?
£7 back in 1998.
All right.
Tycho was only £6
Jesus
because he was a bit of a failure.
Christ, the different times, man.
I know. A Raider was £12. Not bad, eh? Look
A
at that.
Land Raider. A
No,
Land Raider.
Raider is the Dark Eldar one. I don't know how much a Land Raider was.
I was going to say the Ball Predator has doubled in price since 1998. It's $42.50 now.
It's more than doubled in price.
Inflation from 1998.
Space Marine Devastators. This is the really nice ones that had the metal guns. They were really nice. The first ones that had them
one
loads.
of each gun.
One of each gun.
It was really
Back
good.
before the stupid grav cannon ruined everything for everyone. Was £15.
We
We need to look into getting that T-shirt on a merch store if we can do that. I
was going to say, you know that if the Ball Predator cost £20 in 1998, it's actually risen less than inflation.
Okay.
Which is actually baffling, because inflation would put it as 43.40, so it's 90 pence cheaper. So for everyone that complains about the prices, it's actually risen less than inflation. That actually boggles my mind.
I know. That is absolutely astounding. Right, come on, we need to go to bed. Well, I need to go to bed.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So
Right.
thank you very much for watching, everybody.
Yep.
Thank you very much for those people who sent us super chats and
Very
things like
much
that.
appreciated.
You are very much appreciated. We can spend that unwisely on beer and Terminators.
Or on extra content to make these things more interesting and amusing. Oh, no, that actually applies to that, doesn't it? Yeah.
The beer and Terminators. If you do want me to do a reading from an old random White Dwarf, then that is something we can
I've
do.
got a couple of old White Dwarfs on the shelf. Let's see if there's anything interesting in there.
I've got hundreds of them.
I ordered a couple off eBay just for like nostalgia's sake. Which one's that?
I've got literally hundreds of these.
Do
All
any
in
of them?
good condition.
I was going to say, do any of them have like the form at the back where you can like buy something in a mail order form? You like send,
So,
yeah.
so I got hold of this one because this was like the first White Dwarf I ever bought when I was first getting into it.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I've got that one too.
And that's number 147.
I've got my favourite one, and that was about 200. I think it was 227 actually. It was the one before this.
85, and it was published in March 1992. This one.
Yeah. I think it was 227 was my favourite ever issue, and it was the release of Dark Eldar when they first come out. It was a second edition of Warhammer 40k third edition, and it had this really good battle report in the back, which was Dark Eldar versus Imperial Guard. It was absolutely quality. I love the fact that people like the chat. Do they know we're still alive? We know we're still alive. We're just wasting your time now.
Yeah, we could give shit at this point. Battle report. Versus Angels.
I am actually going to go check on my kids, so let's.
Bye bye, everybody.
Fair enough. Have a good evening. Take care. Ciao.
Bye bye.